Hey everybody, welcome back to our coverage of Connected America 2025, where we're talking all things telecom, fiber infrastructure, and of course, the topic du jour today is data centers. So to have that conversation in a little bit more depth, especially talking about construction requirements and bandwidth requirements, things like that, is my friend Syed from Dycom Industries. Syed, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
I want to ask folks who may not be familiar with you guys, tell us just a little bit more about yourself and the company.
Yeah, my name is Syed Hussain. I'm a Senior Director of Business Development and Strategic Partnership. I work for Dycom Industries. We are a big telecom construction company. We operate in all 50 states and we have 38 subsidiaries.
Well, look, Syed, you get the opportunity to have conversations about kind of the biggest topic this week, which is about data centers and about not only the bandwidth requirements, but the construction requirements. So I want to ask, we've got a lot of people in the industry asking questions for the first time who maybe have said, hey, this is a market we need to serve, we need to look into. What are some of the construction requirements that are required from a bandwidth perspective, maybe even a power perspective too, from the world of data centers?
So data center is kind of that whole industry is exploding. There's just the use of AI, things like that. The cloud, the structure of the companies, they're using it more and more every day. We have a lot of data centers. What's going on right now is the whole push to get data centers closer to the customers. And who are those customers might be, could be a hospital, could be a Google, could be Microsoft, could be Amazon, you name it. They all want to get closer to their customers and things. That's where the focus is. So there's big need push to put more data centers out there, which could be micro data centers. And every data center needs a fiber to them. Could be a diverse route where we come in and do that kind of work. And the data centers need beyond that. They need power, they need cooling, and those kind of things. Of course, they need to find the land where it is feasible for them to build data centers.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. I think when we talk about data centers, the hyperscalers are typically the ones that people think of, the giant buildings on the side of the road that go for miles and miles and miles. But as you talk about getting those data centers a little bit closer to some of these use cases and applications, be it hospitals, be it telco, whatever. What are some of the challenges that we're facing right now? Is it we don't have the infrastructure, or maybe we don't have the capabilities to expand? What are some of those challenges right now?
So good question. I think the biggest challenge they are facing is power. These data center takes up a lot of power, and that's not enough out there. The second thing is make sure the chip is getting cooled in a timely manner and make sure it's done right. So that's the second. The fiber, even though fiber can be challenging to place because you need to go through either boring, trenching, could require a lot of permitting and things like that, but that may be an easier aspect of the whole thing compared to power cooling issues they are facing right now.
Well, it's interesting because you start to see data centers sort of want to build their own mini power plants and have some of their own on-prem or energy power generation, storage, all that kind of good stuff. So it's interesting because there are a lot of use cases where you can sort of do that on your own. But the world of fiber and connectivity is so interesting because it's not quite that simple. You can't just generate your own fiber kind of out of thin air.
No.
What are some of the challenges, whether it's trenching, whether it's just running cable for hundreds of miles? What are some of the challenges, specifically in relation to getting fiber to some of these places?
So the big thing is the route you're taking to build that fiber. Where is it going through? It could be going through tribal land. You have to make sure you get permitting there. It could be going through or under the railway tracks and things like that, which can take a long time to get permitting. So, we have to balance the need of permitting and everything else versus how fast we build it. And it has to be done in a very timely manner. And you have to really plan for it. You can't just start building fiber. There's a lot goes into it. And then do you have the material available, fiber available, pedestals available and things like that to make sure you can support your build?
Well, look, these are conversations you get to have every day. I mean, you see so many folks coming into our industry fresh for the first time. Maybe it's people who are coming from skilled trades, whether it be HVAC, electricity in general, finding their way into the world of fiber and infrastructure. These are conversations that they're not necessarily always familiar with, right? Because we talk about the power generation side and you can have your own sort of substations and things like that, where you don't have to worry about sort of the permitting and running the cable, for hundreds and hundreds of miles. What are some of the things that you guys have seen from people that are coming into the industry for the first time, what are some of the struggles that you've seen them maybe face as they're trying to roll out some of these applications for the first time?
I think having the experience, the knowledge, the right skills, the right leadership to understand what it takes to build is critical. Having somebody who may have done this before, so you learn from them and build upon it is critical to be successful. And it all gonna be, hey, do you build it with the allotted budget and within a time frame where anybody is asking you to build? It could be lot of companies.
Well, and that's where you guys come in too, right? You have the ability not only to deploy folks across all 50 states, like you mentioned, but also you have that scale, that buying power, that ability to make sure that product is where it needs to be whenever you need it. What are some of the reasons that folks kind of find and seek you guys out? Is it because they need that scale? Is it because they need that expertise? Why typically do folks reach out to you?
So typically it's because, first of all, we operate in all 50 states. And we have 38 subsidiaries who are ready to take on these projects. They are skilled, they have the skilled labor, they have the experience and knowledge. And we are here to stay. So if you have a need, anything from 5 years from today, we have done the construction, we can always come back and support you in any other needs you may have.
Well, obviously we talked a lot about data centers, but what are some of the other verticals and use cases that you see a lot of folks asking for?
So, you talk about telemedicine, huge need. They can't have latency. You talk about, just AI perspective. Those are the big needs. You talk about cloud, good example is Facebook. I mean, how much storage going on there, YouTube, all that. These are huge needs where data centers are needed, and they're going to be even more needed in future because, if you put something in, let's say example, ChatGPT, and you ask a question, it takes a second to give that answer back to you. That second is too long.
Right.
Can we bring it down to a millisecond? That's going to all go back to how fast your communication is with the data center back to your home, to your business.
Well, Syed, you're here at the show giving a presentation. What presentation are you guys giving today?
So I'm on a panel to discuss this topic about deployments of edge computing.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kind of last question as we wrap up. We talk a lot about edge computing, edge data centers, things like that. We really are at a point where these are being deployed at scale.
Yes.
We've got folks like hospitals, and we've got folks like service providers and larger companies wanting to build their own data centers. What advice would you give to somebody, maybe a potential buyer who says, hey, we're looking to have this conversation for a first time. Where do I start?
So, I think the big thing is start your planning years before you think you need to deploy it. And that's why a lot of data center folks, they're planning right now because they need to make sure they have enough material, which could be all the chips which are either come out or coming out in future. And make sure you have the right plan for power, cooling, work with those companies. There are companies out there who will project manage the whole thing. That may be helpful depending who you choose, or sometimes you have your own project management where you can figure out who I need to work with to get every piece done in a timely manner. It's like you're building a Lego set and you can't just put everything together without any sequence. You need to plan it out very well.
Well, Syed, we appreciate you stopping by, literally on your way to be a part of that panel discussion. We thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for being at the show.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
And thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to stay tuned for more coverage from Connected America 2025.
Thank you.